So today is day number 10 and feeling pretty good about documenting my progress, but I did want to just highlight for anybody that's new here, which I don't think that's the case, but if somebody's watching, and here's what prompted me. Somebody left me a comment yesterday on my progress from yesterday and said it was very inspiring. And if somebody's getting something out of this, that's super. But the whole point of me even going down this path and recording some things was so that I can have documentation of the things that I'm learning. And also sort of an account, a first person account, obviously, of what does it mean to work towards some fitness goals that I have. In this case being a marathon in May. And then beyond that, no real plans other than to see where this all takes me. So today is a nice day. The snow is melting and we're sitting at about 31 degrees right now. So I'm gonna need some things. Gloves. I have these other gloves, these alternative gloves that I have, and a hat today, which I just dropped. Gonna need both of those. Gloves are hard to find in this house because two boys running around using any mix of gloves that they can find puts my gloves in vulnerable spots to be used by other people. So, gonna get out there today. Two things I'm gonna highlight today as I go out there, and then when I come back for that little post run. One is I've had this question a few times, what am I listening to? So I used to listen to music on the way out, and the music was really good. It got me motivated, but I couldn't hear things like, my foot placement, or I couldn't hear things like my breath. So I really tried to dial back the music, and then I went without something to listen to for a little while. But now I'm back to listening to either A, audiobooks, or B, podcasts. So today I'm just going to highlight one podcast that gets me going through a lot of my movements, which is the Tim Ferriss podcast. His podcasts are long form. I could do a little bit of sort of meta thinking about what are the implications for what I'm learning in his podcast from the people that he's interviewing, and how can I apply them to, one, my own habits and routines, but then two, how does it optimize my output for things like coaching or teaching. So that's sort of the focus that I have there. The second thing is I realized an extra added benefit to this Zone 2 training. The first one is obviously getting maximum endurance and really optimizing blood flow and that aerobic capacity, right? Like that's the big benefit that I'm realizing. But the second thing that is super interesting is I don't feel like I necessarily have to have a huge game plan every time that I go out. Now I know that as the marathon draws closer, I will have to have more sophisticated game plans to optimize my runs to become or finish with the goals that I want. So that's that. But the benefit now to this sort of base building training, this block that I'm in now, December and January, today being December 24th, I realized that it's actually beneficial to just have a Zone 2 heart rate focus. So I'm gonna go out there, focus on sort of 142 to 145 beats per minute. Again, still using the watch until the chest strap comes in. But yeah, so you take the pressure off trying to feel like you're doing mile repeats or any of that. Right now, this block, this phase is just about Zone 2 training, sticking with it for a little bit. That's what I'm learning about my own training this way. If you're doing something different with Zone 2 and have other areas of focus, please let me know. But it allows me to, it frees me up to stay in the Zone 2, not worry about time and pacing so much, but then ultimately to focus on things like form, right? Like I can really work on those hamstrings, pulling my feet back, getting my foot off the ground, arm swings, because I am trying to stay in that Zone 2. So that's that for right now. I'm gonna head out there, probably around 45 minutes, We'll see if that gets me 5 miles or so after yesterday's 6-mile run and Saturday's 10-mile run. We're going to put it all together today with a little 5-mile run, and maybe take tomorrow off. So we'll see how this goes. All right, back from that run. I'll put the run details here. So just to kind of end this pretty quickly today, because I think the purpose of me documenting my runs and my run fitness journey and what I'm learning, or documenting anything that I'm doing for teaching, is all about personal growth and development. So that's all. Just documenting real things that are happening around personal growth and development in all phases of my life. That's one thing. But the second thing here is I hit it at the beginning of this workout today, which was a zone 2, which allowed me to focus on things like form while making sure that I was keeping up with my heart rate. I did notice my heart rate spike a few times, and I got really curious at those points, and I'll have to drill down on that later. I don't know exactly why that would have happened. I'll have to go back and look at the graph for that and try and get curious about that. But I guess that's a good thing about concentrating on heart rate too, is that you get curious about where you are, when these things happen, what you can do better. The second thing is listening to podcasts. I think the music was drowning me out on my runs, and I couldn't hear my cadence or my breath or my foot placement. Now with a podcast, I'm able to do that. Long form podcasts like Tim Ferriss's podcast help that a little bit better, because there are breaks in there, and I'm only gravitating towards picking up a few things to learn about on those runs, or to think about. So I look at it as sort of this moving meditation as I'm running, where I'm sort of thinking a little bit as I go, and thinking about what this might mean for me, my growth, or other areas of my life. Today, one of the key things in this Tony Fadell podcast was he mentioned that he has this Mentors with Money kind of investment group, and it's not a venture capitalist group or whatever, but his whole point was mentors with money, and if you can offer a service back, why not offer it? And I got to thinking, like, what would that look like in education? I have no ideas right now, other than asking the question, what would that look like in education? So that's sort of why I listen to those podcasts. It gives me ideas, allows me to concentrate on form, and gets me through the run by this sort of moving meditation and this thinking. So thanks for watching. Hopefully there's something here for you. I appreciate you letting me think out loud and learn in front of all of you. I appreciate it.